Hello everyone, George Oliver here with the Modern Merchant YouTube channel, and today I want to talk to you about e-commerce sites. There's a lot of them out there, and each one of them has its own strengths and weaknesses. Today I want to talk to you about one site in particular, and that's eBay. I love selling on eBay. I have been doing it for over 20 years now, so I know the site pretty well, although they do make a lot of changes every year as it grows and expands, but I do love selling on eBay. And just like every one of those sites, eBay has its own strengths and weaknesses as well. And in other videos, I want to talk about some of the other sites, but today I want to focus specifically on eBay. So, is eBay the right site for you to sell on? It's a great place for both new items and used items of all varieties, stuff that you have around the house that you might not want anymore, that Christmas present from the great uncle that you barely see, who doesn't really know you and you don't want to offend him by taking it back, you can sell it on eBay. You could do items that you find thrifting or yard selling, things that you get from a manufacturer, shipped over in bulk. You could do items that you find on clearance. It's a great place for collectibles of all kinds, cards, coins, any kind of collectibles, you name it, and so much more. eBay is just full of everything. Remember the ad that they did years ago, you can find it on eBay? Well, that's true. You can pretty much find anything on eBay. It's a great place to sell. Now, one of the things you have to understand about eBay is that you don't always get the same amount of traffic that you do on its biggest competitor site, Amazon. Okay, Amazon gets a lot of internet traffic, and in fact, it was estimated about 4 or 5 years ago that 1/3 of all of the United States internet traffic every day goes through Amazon. That's a lot. So if you're selling on Amazon, there's a lot of potential to get a lot of buyers in front of your goods, or the other way around, your goods in front of buyers. That's the way I should say it. So eBay, you don't get the same traffic you do on Amazon, but they have taken some very significant steps to increase their traffic and to increase their search results in Google. Okay, so it has been growing over the years, but that's one of the things you need to be aware about for eBay. But I'm kind of going down a rabbit trail there. So let's talk about the pros and cons of eBay. The pros, reasons I love eBay. The number one reason that I love eBay is because I'm in control. Okay? The listings that I put up on eBay are listings that I create. They're not just some catalog page that's owned by the website, which is kind of how it functions on Amazon. To a degree, we can get into that in another video. We're not going to talk about that here. But I put up the listing. I don't have to make sure my listing matches a catalog page that's owned by the website. It's my listing. I get to say what I need to say in it in order to describe the item accurately. I can put all of my conditions on there for purchase. I get to set my listing price, my rules. I can use my image. As long as it meets their minimum criteria, I can do all of this stuff. I can do my shipping rules. I can explain my shipping costs. I can offer local pickup if I want to. I can do all of these different things, and I can give a wide variety of options to people. So I'm in control as long as I'm falling within the parameters that eBay sets, because there are some rules that they say I can't go beyond this point. I can't list certain items, or I can't list certain items in certain conditions, but the majority of eBay is wide open to sell whatever you want to sell. Okay, I can also set like my return rules, but let's talk about that for a moment. For example, let's say I'm selling an item that's brand new, sealed in the box, and I ship it to them and I say no returns. Now, if the buyer gets the item and then suddenly gets a big credit card bill, and they want that money that they paid for that item to help pay for that credit card bill, they can't turn around and say, well, I've got buyer's remorse, I want to send the item back. Well, I can say no returns. Buyer's remorse, no returns, they're stuck with it. Now, if I send the item and it's been opened or run over by a truck, who knows what might have happened to it on its journey through the people who handled it during the shipping process, and the item arrives and it didn't arrive in the condition that the buyer bought it in, even though I say no returns, then the buyer can get eBay to authorize a return, and I need to accept that. And that's just common sense, okay? And then I can talk about what happened with the product with the shipping service and get some money back that way, as long as I'm covered. But for the most part, I can do what I want with my listings. I'm in control. I love that freedom. It's not the same way on every other site, okay? On eBay's biggest competitor, it's 30-day returns, no questions asked, okay? Which has done a lot of good for Amazon. But again, we'll talk about that in another video. eBay, I get to set some rules and boundaries, and I love it. Okay, so another reason that I love eBay is because right now with their managed payment system, if you're not a part of that, you should be a part of it. I think they're onboarding a bunch of sellers onto that right now. I think it's mandatory for signing up as a new seller, and they were doing a campaign to get, I think, all sellers on board by a certain period of time, and I think they've already done that. But anyway, what that has resulted in for me is daily payouts. On other sites, I have to wait about 2 weeks, or I can get third-party software to help me get payouts sooner, but then there's fees involved with that. With eBay, I can set it where I can get daily payouts. In fact, they just implemented something new where I can request payouts for my total like every hour, it seems like, if I want to, but I need to explore that some more. It seems like I can get the money even quicker with a new program they just released. I think it's with their fall seller update. I need to explore that some more, but even if that's not 100% accurate, I can still get daily payouts, which is great. Something sells within 24 hours, that money's going towards my bank account, which is fantastic, okay? I don't have to wait 2 weeks or even a week or get third-party software. Another reason I love eBay is, in my opinion, eBay has better seller support than most of the other platforms that I'm on. It didn't used to be that way. I think eBay has learned from some of their competitors' mistakes. I think some of the other competitor websites don't have very good support for sellers, where the people that you speak to, it's very difficult to communicate the problem, get them to understand the problem, and help you resolve the problem. The times where I've had to talk to a customer, or not customer, a seller support agent through eBay, I have had an easy time communicating with these individuals, and they have either solved my issue or told me clearly why my issue can't be solved, and that's happened, but very rarely, or they give me the steps where I can resolve the issue myself, and that has been very fantastic. I don't dread calling in eBay seller support like I used to. So they've done a good job of training their people and helping sellers out. All right, let's see. Reason number 4 why I love selling on eBay is because they don't have categories that are gated. Okay, if you're selling on some other websites, you'll find out that categories are gated, which means that, well, it's almost like there's a gate. You ever seen a gated community? You can't get in unless you have the password. Well, on these other websites, you can't get in that category unless you have a password. And that password is documentation that you're an authorized seller of such and such an item or brand or blah, blah, blah. Again, we can do that we can talk about that more in depth on another video. But eBay's categories are not gated. If I have a new item, I can list it as new and sell it as new. If I have a used item, I can list it as used and sell it as used in almost every category. Now, I think there's a couple of categories that I need to have some documentation for, but those are kind of categories on the outskirts of eBay that most sellers aren't going to sell in. I think that there may be some age ratings for some of those categories, if you understand what I'm saying. But as I haven't explored that very much for my business, I'm not 100% certain on that. But for the most part, the categories are not gated. And in my opinion, eBay would be wise to keep them ungated, okay? Keep them open for all sellers. There's no restrictions on selling name brand items. So if I have a name brand item that I want to resell, I can do that, as long as I'm actually selling that item. Now, if I'm counterfeiting the item or trying to sell knockoff goods in some way, well then, I need to, eBay needs to take steps and remove me from doing that. But generally speaking, if you have a legitimate item and you're trying to sell it, eBay lets you, and it's great. Number 5, the 5th reason I love eBay is there's various types of listings. On Amazon, there's really, you just list to the product catalog page. On eBay, you can do an auction style. Of course, people can bid against one another, and sometimes the price can jump. Or you can do a buy it now, a GTC, good till canceled listing, which means that it just stays up and keeps going until you say it's time to end it. And that's one of the ways that That's one of the ways that eBay has increased their results in Google search, is by having good till cancel, where the listing you create has a permanent fixed site instead of ending 30 days and then having to be renewed, and it just causes havoc with the Google search results. So that's why they changed to the GTC a while back. I was very much against that change then, but I've seen a lot of positive stuff since then. So I think the change has been great. But it gives me various types of listings. I can do auction style versus buy it now. All right. The 6th reason is the fees are slightly lower on eBay than they are on Amazon, which is its biggest competitor. I'm not exactly sure with Etsy, but comparing Amazon to eBay, the fees are slightly lower. They implemented part of their pay structure by removing PayPal recently, where their fees are slightly lower. It's not much, but it is slightly lower than using eBay and PayPal combined, and slightly lower than Amazon at this point. So, of course, as the sites grow and continue to expand, the fees have a tendency to go up too. But right now, the fees are lower than Amazon. All right, for most categories. There may be a category here or there where it's flip-flop, but for most categories, that's the way it is. Number 7 is it's a great place for unique items. Okay, things that you might not find as new or hard to find on, you won't be able to sell those on Amazon necessarily, depending on what the item is. But a lot of collectible, used, older items, great place to find those on eBay. All right, so all kinds of unique things you can find out there. The 8th reason that I love selling on eBay is because they have a feature that is desperately needed on Amazon. And you cannot do this on Amazon, but you can do it on eBay. And it is a huge, huge help for sellers. And that is, they have a blocked buyers list. Okay, you have a buyer that's causing you problems, you can put them on the blocked buyers list. They can't ever buy from you again. You don't want to sell to people who have zero feedback or no experience. You can set that criteria in your blocked buyers list. Look at the different boxes that you can check off, and you can kind of set that they have to have 5, 10 feedback, something like that. They have to be a little bit established buyer before they buy from you. Yeah, you can do that. On Amazon, you cannot block it. You have a bad buyer, that buyer can come back to you 30 times in a month, and you cannot stop them. They can keep coming. But on eBay, I can do that. I have somebody who's lowballing me on offers for items. I can put them on my blocked buyer list. I have somebody who doesn't follow my instructions, someone that's hassling me, someone who's just plain rude. I can put them on my blocked buyers list. I had one person one time send me just incredibly nasty email because they bought an item from me, and I sent them a reminder for payment, and they jumped down my throat. Bunch of curse words, all kinds of nasty foul language. Guess what? They went on my blocked buyer list. That transaction didn't happen. They got reported to eBay. So the block buyer list is amazing, and you can remove people from it and you can add people to it, and I don't think they can communicate with you after they're on that list. So it's a huge help for sellers. Amazon desperately needs this, but eBay has it. So good job, eBay. All right, we've talked about all the pros that I have on my list, and you might have others on your list that I don't have, but that's okay. Let's talk about some cons, okay? Some of the negatives to selling on eBay. I have 5 of them on my list here, and we're going to go over all of those. And some of those are things that I've seen over the last 20 years, and some of them are things that I've heard from other people, their perspectives as well. All right, so number 1, we talked about it a little bit before, lower traffic. Okay, yes, you are going to have lower traffic on eBay than you are on Amazon because, again, at least 1/3 is estimated 1/3 of U.S. traffic, internet traffic, goes through Amazon every day, and that was several years ago. So I imagine it's probably increased. eBay, not as much. Again, with the good till canceled buy it now auctions that they have a permanent place kind of on the Google results. So they're trending to be at the top of the Google results when you're searching for certain items, which has helped eBay, but they still don't get the same amount of traffic, all right? And I doubt they will until they are as massive as Amazon is, and Amazon is everywhere. So you have to understand you will get lower traffic, but it's still a good amount of traffic for your items. There's still a good amount. The second con or negative thought about eBay is kind of has some negative stigma, is that it's just a digital flea market. Some people, I've heard it referred to as Flea. And yes, it can seem like a big digital flea market depending on what you're searching for, what you're looking for. But just like a flea market, again, it has a lot of unique items that you can't find anywhere else. If you ever travel around a flea market and find some very unique items, you go, hey, this is awesome. So there's a positive side to that as well. But yeah, you can find lots of junkier type stuff, but you can find all kinds of things on eBay. Remember, I found it on eBay. I think that was one of their ad campaigns years ago. But at the same time, you have big name businesses on eBay that sell as well. Things like Walmart, Target, Best Buy, and so on and so forth. So you have from the big box store all the way down to mom and pop shop to people selling out of their house, and a wide mix. So it's more than just a digital flea market. It really is a e-commerce marketplace. Okay. Another reason or negative would be that I've heard from people locally is they're weary of a lot of scams on eBay. Well, here's the reality. If you're a seller on any e-commerce platforms, you've got to be aware that there are scammers out there. There are no more scammers or less than there are on Amazon or Etsy or whatever. There are people out there looking to do dirty things, bad things, try to get products for free. It's out there. There's plenty of websites that teach buyers how to do that. They've educated them how to do that. There are YouTube videos, all kinds of things. It's nasty. But these websites over time have implemented ways that sellers can combat this. And to be educated on how to deal with scams, how to recognize them, how to communicate effectively through them, and what you need to do as a seller really helps offset any sort of damage that a scam can inflict on you and your business. And most times it can help you, recoup any losses, if there are any losses, or just avoid losses altogether. I'm planning on doing some videos about scams for eBay and scams for Amazon and other places as well. Because I've seen a bunch of them over the years, and I've learned how to deal with them, and I can help you learn how to deal with them as well. So yes, that's out there, but that's really out there for any e-commerce site, not specifically just eBay. But like I said, there are good protocols in place and good advice and help from eBay and other e-commerce sites, because they really have taken this seriously and tried to stop the scams as much as they can. Okay, so to me, that's a con for some people, but not a terrible one. It's just par for the course. You have to learn this kind of stuff if you're going to be an e-commerce seller. Okay. Number 4 would be that you have to generate each listing yourself, and that's a lot of work. Yeah, I know. I've got thousands of listings up on eBay, and I've had to create each and every one of those. And yeah, that can be a lot of work. But if you know what you're doing and you prepare a template correctly, or you figure out how to list a large amount of items quickly, because they're all very similar, then it's easy to get up a lot of listings really quick. At first, it might seem like a lot of work. It might seem daunting. If you sit down and take it in small chunks, if you're wanting to get a lot of items up, then you'll be surprised at how quickly you can get items up, okay? And I can teach you how to do a template. I'm going to do another video on how to do a template for eBay. It's not difficult, and it'll save you a lot of time. So yes, you do have to create each and every listing, but that's just part of the work. And if you don't want to do the work, well, then you're not going to make the money. That's just that simple. I don't mind doing the work. It's quick and easy for me, I can almost do it in my sleep, it feels like. But at the end of the day, I get my listing up, I get my listing sold eventually, I get it out of my house and get the money into my life, which is my goal. Okay. And the fifth reason is, the fifth con is that that eBay is kind of lagging behind in innovation to websites like Amazon. Well, Amazon is way out in front of all the other e-commerce websites. Everybody's trying to take a piece of the e-commerce pie from Amazon, but Amazon has such a foothold right now in the e-commerce space and the money to innovate that it seems like as Amazon goes, so does the rest of the world in business, and so does the rest of e-commerce sites. The good thing about eBay is that they have, over the years, learned from Amazon's mistakes. They are out front, they're doing a lot of innovating, but they're also making a lot of mistakes, and eBay's done a great job of learning from those mistakes, sidestepping those issues, and implementing positive solutions and changes before things become issues. Which I think eBay has done a great job with it. And, Amazon has done good as well, for the most part. They've made a lot of good changes over the years, but sometimes it feels like they're kind of running behind. If you're a seller and you're being affected by something, it feels like Amazon's coming from behind because they created a place for a mistake and they have to come around and fix it. Where eBay goes, oh, that was a mistake, we're going to do this so we avoid that kind of an issue. But that's just kind of the nature of the e-commerce competitive platforms. All right, so those are my pros and cons about eBay. I will tell you that probably 5 years ago or so, I would not have had a whole lot of positive things to say about eBay. Even though I was selling on it, it was a much more difficult place to sell. They have implemented a lot of positive change over the years, and some of the change I was against, but I was wrong. And I've noticed that the changes they've made have been very good and been helpful for my business. So I think they've done a great job, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to do in the future with the platform. I hope they keep the heart of the platform the way it is, open to third-party sellers like me. They're keeping categories ungated and allowing people to sell on their platform, and that will result in a lot more money for them and a lot more money for people like me who do this for a living, and for people who want to start doing this for a living, or just make money on the side to pay bills or pay off debt or whatever. All right, so great job, eBay. I think that they've done great. So those are my pros and cons for eBay. What are some of the things that you like or dislike about eBay? You can put them in the comments below. I appreciate you watching. If you want to check out my store, it's We Surplus on eBay. It's WHEE, We Surplus. You can check out my store, all my listings. If you see something you like, come buy it. I'll ship it out to you. And I appreciate that very much. If you like what you hear, I also do commercial voiceover work, and you can listen to my demos at govoiceover.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I am going to do other videos about other websites, my pros and cons for those as well, so check those out. Subscribe to my channel. That'd be great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.